Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning whenever you decide to watch this video. Today I will be joined by Omanau, Mark, and Shadow. We discussed that this show might have been too much of an age issue for Jack, so Jack will not be joining us. Um, but it is what it is. Not every movie is kid friendly that we do, and this one might just really have not been really kid friendly without me thinking about it. We will be talking about the French foreign movie that came out in 2001, Brotherhood.
The ball. No, just kidding. Sorry.
Brotherhood of the Wolves, or something in French with loups as part of it. I don't speak French, at least not very well, or at all, realistically. So I picked this movie because this movie came out in 2001. I just graduated high school and I was off to college to play rugby. And, I figured in my early 20s I should start watching more mature movies, more, maybe foreign movies were supposed to be really, supposed to be something you watch, something you grow with. It was a thought processing back then because there's so many Chevy Chase movies and fart and dick jokes that you can listen to and be, haha, you're just a dumb American. Whatever. I say you can watch a whole lot more. And we'll be reviewing a lot of them probably over the next couple years, however long we do this. Blazing Saddles for a perfect example. So I picked this movie because there was an actor in this movie that I've seen in other stuff. I really enjoyed him. He was the martial artist in the film. And I know
they were all martial arts. What are you talking about? It was ridiculous.
That's probably true. The guy who played Native American in this movie.
Knew you were going to say that.
Amazingly enough, he wasn't my favorite character, but that's okay. We'll talk about that here shortly. This movie was based on an old French folk story, The Beast of...
Pack of Lies?
What?
Nothing.
No, I think it was based off of actual historical incident.
Yeah, this was based on a true story. Loosely. Because but we'll get into the back end of the history here shortly.
Careful how you use that word, my friend.
So, Mark, what did you think of this movie?
It was pretty enjoyable, pretty fun. Parts of it dragged a little bit. I mean, they could have maybe trimmed it down a little bit, but for the most part, it was a fun movie. I mean, it got a little. It kind of seemed like it's going for a more serious tone in the beginning, and then towards the end, and that when the fight scenes and that it got a little bit over the top. But I kind of looked past it and just enjoyed it for what it was. So it was pretty good, I thought.
I mean, it doesn't have extendable chicken legs like the last movie we watched.
Hey, that will never. You will never be able to look at a bucket of fried chicken the same way again.
That is unfortunately so damn true. I had chicken last night too. I'm like looking at the legs, like, What did you? And now you said you liked this movie. I mean, do you have any other thoughts on the movie? I mean,
I watched it in the theater when it came out. About 20 years ago? It's somewhere around there. I enjoyed it at the time. It was. I heard some of the complaints that they said, "Oh, it matches very similar to like how Hollywood would do their stuff," and then they said, "Well, what's the point of having French films if they're going to emulate Hollywood?" It definitely has different feel. You can tell that the Europeans will broach topics that generally American movies will not. It definitely is not it's a lot more risque. It definitely the whole thing that really comes. But I did like the when they were fighting the monster at the end. Before we won't give away too much. But when they're moving around and when they're trying to trap it, and they wound it, and then they chase it. I really enjoy that scene. I mean it's a fun movie. It's kind of it came right after the Matrix aspect. Well, I think it was, or around the same time. So it has Monica Bellucci, and so we were, so it has the same, the same actress in there, and you just see in two different roles. Yeah, I really enjoyed the film. So okay.
All right. Really quick, hey, Crafting Gamer. I hope you're having a good weekend. And remember, not tomorrow, but the next day is 4th of July, so don't blow off your pecker quite yet.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You'll be able to weed out, the no, I'm just.
Shadow, what did you think of the film?
Well, I had to watch it with commercials for whatever reason, so it was incredibly long.
Oh,
and
you didn't have Amazon? I thought you had Amazon Prime.
I thought I was watching it on Amazon, but maybe I wasn't. I don't know. It was free. That's all that mattered.
I know it's on Tube. It's on Tube, and you have to watch commercials with it. And Peacock.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't that though, but there were a whole lot of things about it I did not like. But I will give it to them. The scenery, the costumes, the cinematography, all that stuff was awesome. The snow scenes, everything. I don't know what they did, how they did it, don't care. All that stuff was great. Parts of the story for me were just a little too over the top. The fight scenes just made me want to turn it off. It was just like they didn't fight like this back then. They don't fight like this now. They don't fight like this anywhere. It was just ridiculous. But I get it. You're trying to make it, an action, combat-y kind of movie. There's plenty of experts out there to consult. Apparently, they spent all that money on the scenery, and there was none left in the budget for accuracy when it came to that. But
it's not intended to. You have to think of it as a martial arts film, really.
Right. I had no idea what I was getting into. I was expecting something, got something else. But that's what happens when you don't watch trailers. And somebody says, "Hey, watch this movie," and that's kind of our job here is, "Hey, watch this movie," which would be a great name for the show. Hey, watch this movie. If you don't watch this movie, what are you doing here, right? Other than you want to, just hang out with these fine gentlemen and Connell.
I can live with that.
But it probably had something for everybody but Jackie, and thank God he didn't watch it because his head would have exploded, and when it grew back, he would be here, calling us a bunch of degenerate perverts. So there's that.
What's wrong with that?
No, a couple of years from now, he'll understand, and then we can just say, nothing because nobody likes hearing "I told you so." Unless you're his father, and in which case you get to say that every freaking day.
Or he was adopted uncles.
Of which he's got several.
All right. Like I said, I picked this movie out. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I saw it the first time in theater when it came out. I think I bought it back when it was on VHS. That weird time in our American history where we had movies on tape and they were on a disc or, the internet. It was different. This is the first, I've watched European films before considering where I grew up, but this was, in my opinion, a French take on a martial arts film, as Omenau said. It was because in the early 2001s, you had how many Jackie Chan movies out there? And
all of them.
Then this one was loosely based on a historical event. And honestly, when I first thought, I thought the way that the trailers made it sound like it was a werewolf movie.
That's what I was expecting.
And it wasn't. And I'm like, huh, okay. Well, since I already, got my popcorn and my soda for a whole lot cheaper than it is now at the theaters, I might as well enjoy the rest of this movie. And I really do. I'd probably end up watching this movie maybe once every 2 years. I'll probably end up watching this movie. All right. So let's get into this. What did you guys think of the location where the scenery. Let's do things a little bit differently. Let's be a little bit more. I don't know what the right word for that is.
Well, I kind of covered all that, in the beginning for me, so you can skip me. But I
Yeah.
wanted to say, Mark, is that the new place? And what's up with your camera?
It's just
The
a blurred
backgrounds are
back. Black background's blurred. I don't know, but no, it's my old house still.
Okay, because it's just kind of weird. I mean, it's nice colors and all that, but it's just kind of, so incredibly out of focus.
No. That's intentional. That's one of the things you can do with these filters.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, for privacy.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that he doesn't want you to see, the background. Because I do that sometimes for work.
Well, no, because it's got that kind of like you haven't moved in look. You know what I mean, guys?
Oh yeah. He's moved out. It's not.
There you go. All right, buddy.
In the middle of moving, that's why it looks barren. But yeah.
You're right, Shadow. You did basically cover this next question, but what do you guys think of the scenery, the background? We don't talk about very much in movies. Well, some movies just really don't have any background to talk about. But what did you think of the places they decided to film in this movie, Mark?
It was cool. It's different
Right.
setting. That it wasn't set in a typical England, whatever Middle Ages type setting. So it was a little different. It took, it was I'm guessing 1700s type movie. So the setting and time were different than a lot of fantasy movies are set in. So I appreciated it for that. It was something different.
Get that. What about you, Omen?
I mean, for setting everything else, I was happy with it. It's there's nothing I can say. Oh yeah, it's this or it's oh yeah, it's that. No, I enjoyed the the setting. It's very attractive. For the area when you have the mountains and things like that, and because it was made in France, you don't really have to go on location. It's right there for the most part. So, those. I mean, it's a cool looking setting for that. I liked the film myself, and for the visuals, it kind of to me had the right feel, because sometimes the British ones are just too dingy, and sometimes the American versions are just too clean, and it has a nice, good mix of the two, I think is how I would take it. Instead of having the one versus the other, it actually it does a good job between the two of them. So
there's a lot about this movie, and Shadow is completely right about the style of martial arts they were doing. I'm sure there was grappling and some hand-to-hand combat. Everybody had their variation of combat at that time period, but no one was doing basically Asian kung fu, except for the Native American that you picked up while you're in Canada.
Right, because the Native Americans did do a lot of actual kicking amongst themselves.
Yeah,
well, more of like a stylized, ritualized sort of, thing, which that's fine. But
French are well known for savate, which is mostly kicking.
Yeah, but they don't do. What is that style? Wushu?
Oh yeah, well, but I'm saying, but the whole thing with it. Well, let's be honest. At least they use guns, unlike some of them, where it's like, oh no, I'll throw everything away. It's like, nope, they had everything out there. They had crossbows, they had guns, they had well, I say guns. I mean, we're talking about muskets, kind of things. Right. They also had like I said, they also had the axe. I like that aspect.
I didn't. Yeah, the weapons that they actually use. There was a lot of the movie when it goes.
Whoa. Okay. That thing at the end, freaking ridiculous. Cool as hell, but ridiculous. The main bad guy, his weapon, that chain sword kind of thing.
Well, yeah. But hey, but you have to remember something. is, if you ever played Soul Calibur, you're like, oh yeah, that's my sword.
No, I when I was a youngster, I actually created an item similar to that for my games, but it's the technology just
wasn't there.
Not that they could do it, but that they wouldn't think of it because it was clearly something brought over from Africa, from the way they stylized it, making it look like it was made out of bone or wood.
Well, considering what he was using, considering what his pet was, he could have brought it from Africa.
But yet they never existed in Africa.
Right. It doesn't matter. You're trying to place realism on something that's not a realistic movie in the first place. It's intended to be fun. This is like complaining about Star Wars and the lightsabers because they wouldn't work in real life. I mean,
no, this is a little bit more fair when you guys all just said that this is kind of based on, an actual event, just apparently on an alternate Earth. Well, let's go.
Well, no. I mean, if you actually look at the story itself is based on an actual historical event. They just went. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. What's that?
Matrixy with it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that's that time period. Yeah, but they did do that. But I'm being honest about it. Is that there was a
the beast of it started with the
and
beast.
They believe that it actually was a. Not in this case, it's a lion at the end, but they believe that it was actually a hyena, and it was known for eating bits and pieces off of people. Yeah,
I didn't think of hyena, but that makes sense. Although it was way too big, but as soon as I saw that one scene where they showed the eye and that yellow fur, I'm going, I know who the bad guy is. It was like, okay, I don't know how, but I knew. You know what I mean? Although I kind of was suspecting from the beginning that he was kind of the bad guy. They threw some red herrings out there to throw you off the path. But
of course he was the bad guy. He was French.
You aren't never get down there, Connor.
I hate to say it, but up until a certain part, I actually liked the character a lot.
The back end of the movie.
But up until that rapey scene, it was like, up, done.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say about the scenery, though, there's very few movies that are done like this where what? Yeah, I know.
His own sister, for Christ's sake. Wow.
Well, European, nobility. I don't know what to tell you. People were dirty. The fact that they actually had people being dirty in this film. I mean, not dirty as what we were just talking about with the rapey, but actually mud and dirt on costumes. Because you know how many movies I've seen somewhat like this where their the clothing is clean all the times. Like you live in that part of the world, but your white outfit's perfectly white.
Well, like I said, this is but they they had the nobility in there. But that's part of the. Whether you look like it or not, is the French are just kind of weird about some of their stuff.
Something?
No, I mean,
I give you a list right off the cuff.
I mean, their films. Yeah, you're kind of like, all right. But the other part is you want to make your villain. You want to make him kind of be redeemable.
Yeah. At some point, they do have to cross the line, or they're not the villain.
And we are talking about French nobility, and you had to show part of the reason of why they were, why they were overthrown. You can't just have, all the nobility is good. Like, no, you have to show why a lot of this went against.
I would like to say that, in my personal belief, that the guillotine was made to cut cigars.
Actually, the funny thing was it was made because the other methods of execution were considered too slow and painful.
A good rope goes a long way.
They could have done their homework. The guillotine was pretty painful and pretty horrific.
I
think that's what they were really going for is yeah, you don't want this to happen to you, so mind your P's and Q's.
Actually, it was invented by a doctor, and the whole reason they used the guillotine is because before they were doing the regular beheadings with like axes and stuff, and it wouldn't always take the head off in the first.
Yeah, you're not guaranteeing a clean cut with an axe.
Yeah, that was one of the things, and he said, "This is terrible. We're going to be more humane. We're going to be more humane about our killings."
Right. Back to, I mean, we're still talking about the movie. I want to know, we're jumping around a little bit with this, which is fine in my head, I guess, and I wasn't playing RPGs when this game came out, but when I watched it this time, because I've never really thought about it before, but I think this movie would make a great RPG.
I think it's a good adventure for an RPG.
Yeah, I think for a one shot or maybe even a two shot, depends on how you do it. I think this movie would be amazing for like a bunch of first time players, or maybe not first time players, but not exactly having the training.
Yeah, anytime you've got cultists, running around in red dresses, I want to, be part of their extermination. So yeah.
So Mark, what do you think? Would you think this would make a good one shot?
Yeah, it'd be a good adventure, and it fit perfectly in Lamentations of the Flame Princess. That was what I was thinking when I was watching this movie the whole time. This is what this movie's meant for. If you're going to turn it into make it into an RPG adventure game.
I can see Conan somewhere in the back of my head.
No. Well, here's the thing that I look at, because we're not talking about just this one. Is if you look at not Conan, but it has a Call of Cthulhu-esque feel along with that investigative portion.
Right.
What this to me would remind me more of is more of a pulp Cthulhu. Where you go out there, you do the high action, dangerous, fight off what's killing the villagers. You've got the political aspect where.
Did you guys see this?
The Order of the Crimson Hand.
Yeah. Mission pack.
Let me blow up the screen.
I mean, it just screams that. It's got Cthulhu in the background. It's got, muskets and weird, pointy nose cultist looking dudes with the big, Mardi Gras kind of masks.
Yeah.
Right in there.
All right. So who was the last person I asked? You guys kind of got over each other. Omen now? Was it you?
For which part? No, I mean, we were just talking about, but I think it's, when I say in adventures, I don't call it the one shot. To me, this would be more of a 3-shot or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely be. It would be a nice way to start a campaign, and at some point, the cultists scatter, and they got to, kind of hunt them down, but at the same time, they keep getting, waylaid by side quests and other things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way of bringing it out and introducing everyone. It's a fairly large region that they had this going on. You're far enough away from the king, but you still have to report. I mean, this to me is one of those things that you set up I'm gonna call it a little mini campaign initially, and I think that's what would make it really good. And to be fair is. You're like, okay, you get your martial arts, you get your guns, you get, it's just meant to be a good Hollywood style game.
Wait, Shadow, what do you think? We basically already said what you thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Trying to work this out.
It is a Saturday. God knows what it's Sunday. God knows what you did last night.
It's been a long weekend. There's a part of me that thinks like, well, my party is about level 10. If I had a party that was like level 10, and it's in the between when I want to set up the next big McGuffin, but I need to keep the party together, I might do this as a mini campaign within a campaign.
Right. Well, to me, I put this probably around, if you're going to talk D&D, probably about third to fifth level. You don't need anything really high for it, but I think that this is exactly what would fit in for a third through fifth level campaign.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I look at it. Is sometimes you get really high levels, and once you're 10th, you're shooting off a lot of really powerful stuff. But at lower levels, you still have
you're right. Lower level campaign.
10th level is where you would finally maybe meet the head guy, and then he summons up some nasty Cthulhu or weird ass supernatural being into the fray.
Right.
That's what I would do.
All right. So it's time to play the favorite game that we talk about. We do often enough on the show. Is who is your favorite character? I will start with Shadow.
There were 4 characters that I was interested in, for in one way or another, and they're probably not the ones you guys think. My favorite, of course, was anybody guess?
the main hero.
Hell no, no. I'm channeling Jackie this time. It was the wolves at the end and throughout the movie. The actual wolves were my favorite characters because they were the only ones who were actually truly innocent and good to an extent. They had no, weird stuff going on. I really liked the Marquis guy. He was one of the lesser of the evils. Yeah, he did a little bit of whoring, but for the most part, he seemed like a genuinely decent sort. I don't understand why he was going to get his head chopped off at the end. I don't know
because
what
that
happened.
was the French Revolution.
Right. That's what I figured.
All nobility had to go.
What did he? Yeah, what did he do? But okay, fine.
Yeah, he didn't deserve it, but they didn't care.
Right.
That was the point.
Right. So I like that character. Then it was I'm going to say this rather crudely because I can't remember her name. I could barely remember anybody's name in this movie because I knew I was, not going to get that invested in it. But what?
The Italian?
I said ouch.
No, the woman, the lady of the evening with the tarot cards and that weird ass, fan blade thing.
The Italian.
Okay. Was that what she was?
She was a spy for the Pope. Yeah.
She was working for the Pope.
Couldn't get more invested than that to incredibly stereotype these characters. She was epic. In a lot of different ways, not just the obvious. And then the bad guy was, like I said at the beginning of the movie, I kind of liked him. I was like, okay, this guy's just a bit of a smart ass. He got his arm chopped off, but he's making do. And then, as time went on, I'm like, oh, it was him. Okay, fair enough. But there you have it.
All right. Mark?
I'm gonna say probably either Manny or the Italian chick. She was pretty cool.
All right. Omenal?
The Italian. Well, no. I mean,
I feel a theme here.
Well, I mean, ignoring the, we can talk about, how
the obvious attributes.
Yeah, but no, I liked the character. The character was actually interesting. Had that little area of mystique. Just
even to the point of telling that stupid woman that was the main love interest. I'm like, who's she related to? Because that's the only reason I would put her in the movie. She's related to somebody, doing somebody, high up, because she was just she was plain. So just like, what? Seriously? Have you seen this other woman over here?
Because she's nobility, you stay with your same social class. See, the problem is we think of these things as Americans, which you can't do back then. We're used to D&D, like, oh yeah, I'll become king. Well, that's great, but we have to look at, back then and you can see it nowadays. Is, oh no, you married your same social class. If you didn't, you were banned. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's that, but no, she's nothing she was interested, but she was there. It was kind of plain, and you're like, okay, but they head off to America and lived a nice, happy life. Okay, that makes sense. And then the other question is, why would the spy for the Italian ever end up with him? That was the, but yeah,
No, she totally dug on him, but on a different level, apparently, because she was, decent enough to go tell the woman he was in love with that, hey, yeah, look, he could have me, but he'd rather have you, so I'm going to do the right thing, which is just weird. But
she gave him a full 3 seconds to choose.
I know, right? I would be like, let's go see the Pope.
Oh yeah, well,
That's just me.
I know. But
and everybody apparently in the panel.
Well, no. Well, part of it is that she was one of the more interesting characters. I mean, I liked Manny also.
Absolutely.
I liked Manny actually. I have nothing against them either. It's just, how do I want to put this? It seems pretty. He seems pretty standard, and I kind of like having the, who's the coolest character? Well, she was, especially with the blade fan at the end.
I know, right? That was like totally unexpected. And then at the end, she went from, you could like see her like posture. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. She went from, a certain way to just freaking standing straight up badass, kind of scary, with the posture and the authority.
Yes. Well, the other thing I liked about her was the, I guess because they didn't want him killing off the woman, that just wouldn't feel right, is having to fight the women.
He killed all kinds of women. What are you talking about?
Well, he killed off what was the redhead Irish chicks or whatever they were.
They were something.
As far as I could tell, he had no compunction about punching, kicking, or stabbing women throughout the movie.
I don't blame him, especially those kinds of women. You know what? You pull out.
We always say on YouTube, gingers have no souls. So is it really killing?
I'm leaving that alone. I'm being good. I'm trying to be good to make up for how last night went.
Do tell.
I'd rather not. Let's see. My favorite character. I want to be a smart ass and say the cameraman, especially in the brothel. But
That's not really a character, but nice try.
I like the Marquis. I thought the Marquis was fairly innocent. He was a good kid. He was just.
I mean, I liked him too. It's just he was kind of bland.
He was kind of bland, but that's okay. He was kind of Jimmy O.
That's what the movie needed. Every time he turned around, it was just debauchery and backstabbing and arrogance, and he was like a likable guy. And loyal. He shouldn't have been in there. In the hunt. He could have just been like, "Nah, guys, you're not even supposed to be here." But no, he's like, "You guys are my friends. I'm going."
Well, we talk about that. Even his father was actually pretty decent, but I think that was the point of showing all the corrupt nobility in that area, and then there's him, who is not. It's a good dichotomy. Sorry.
He kind of remind me in a really weird way. I'm not saying that any of the martial artists, the main guys, are Superman. I'm not saying they're anywhere close to being the Superman type character. But the kid kind of reminded me of a Jimmy Olsen type character.
Yeah, I can see that.
Totally.
And I kind of like those characters. You don't see them very often in movies. And when they do, they normally get shit on hard. And this guy, towards the end of his life, he should have moved to America with them. But that was just history. That's just how history sometimes works out with like that.
That was kind of the tragedy of the movie, if you think about it.
I like. I like the main guy. I don't know. Did you watch the French version or the American version? Shadow.
I'm pretty sure it was the dubbed version.
So yeah.
Um,
So you watched the French version.
I mean, I could tell they were not. You know.
Speaking
Yeah,
English.
it was.
There's
Yeah.
a scene where it's the very beginning of the scene. He shows up. He's having a dinner with all the nobility, and he pulls out that trout that has fur on it.
Yeah.
And the water in Canada was so cold that the fish there have to grow fur. I found that incredibly intelligently funny. And he wasn't the most charming person in the show or the most heroic in certain points of the show. He just kind of was, I'm a naturalist. I want to travel the world and discover nature and all the fun things. And I had to be recalled because of whatever's going on here with what they thought was a wolf. I liked his character. I didn't mind his character too much. I liked, and realizing, after realizing this was a martial art film, it had Mark Damascus, who played Manny. And I thought his character exactly what was not exactly needed, but was exactly kind of cool because he spoke maybe 5-6 lines in the entire movie.
Yeah, but he had a presence about him, which helped. I mean,
right. When he was picking up people's animal spirit, and he said did the whole boar thing, I thought that was kind of cool. I like the girl, the main love interest, just because she kind of reminded me of the girl next door. She just happened to be nobility. Emily, and yeah, the Italian.
Monica Bellucci, which I think this is her most attractive that I've seen her in any of her movies.
There is Jesus. I've seen maybe a handful of her movies, and I've never been disappointed. Brothers Grimm. There's another one she was at. She was in James Bond, the Shoot 'Em Up, the Matrix series. I mean, she was just. I'm not saying she's not intelligent. I'm not saying she's one way or the other, but she is just a very, very beautiful woman. And has issues with. Anyways, so who did we not like in this movie?
Oh, I'm trying to think. I'll tell you I'll go for this one. Is the epileptic girl.
Okay.
The one at the very beginning. The one where where they're chasing him down with her and her father. And
yeah.
And then at the end where she gets her throat slit, which was well deserved. I mean,
was she supposed to be Romani?
I don't know what she was supposed to be.
I kind of got that impression.
I could tell.
Yeah, I got the impression. They were definitely trying to make her, kind of gypsy looking, and acting and, kind of crazy. I don't know if that's that or if it was something else, but I can see how 80% of the people watching it, that's what they're going to think,
I mean, I could be wrong, and if she wasn't supposed to be, I'm just saying that's the way she felt.
She may have. I just, but she was definitely a wild woman. Was the whole thing, and even her father's giving her these side eye looks, like you shouldn't be doing this.
Hell, he turned her in.
Yeah.
At that one point, remember?
Which point was that? I can't remember. Oh,
I think it was before the seizure.
Oh. With what causing the problems? Well, as a father, it's lost complete control of his daughter, and to be fair,
but yet he was he and she were a member of this freaking secret cult. Just take her back to the lair and have some dudes, work her over and tell her to mind her shit. It was the Middle Ages or what have you. I wouldn't recommend that behavior now, but that's what they would have done. They would have just taken her back to the lair and say, listen, you're going to get us all busted. Knock your shit off, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not.
Well, she
wrong.
was but she was also, it's the bad girl running with all the bad boys, and that was.
Yeah,
Oh man,
pretty slutty.
Yep.
Yeah.
she was definitely something. What about you, Mark?
Character I didn't like.
Yeah.
Probably the you weren't supposed to like him, but probably the Weasley villain guy, but you weren't supposed to like him, and then the redhead main love interest. As far as she was just a little flat, and I don't know. She has to do a lot for me, but those would be the two I would pick.
All right. What about you, Shadow?
If I could only get to pick two,
You can pick.
I'm going to preface this with I already mentioned the only characters I actually liked in the
Yeah.
movie. I mean, literally, my least favorite was Manny, followed by the main character.
Okay.
They were too over the top, too stereotypical in every single thing about them. They were just so incredibly just fake. I just so overblown with every little caricature that they were trying to portray. It was just okay. I'm gonna focus on everybody but them and see where it goes.
All right. That's fair. Who did I not like? There was a few people I didn't like. The epileptic girl. Yeah, the epileptic girl, as you put it. I didn't care much for her.
In my mind, I kept calling her a witch. Sorry for those witches out there. I know she gives you guys a bad name, but she was just, even though the other woman, what was her name? The one we all liked?
The Italian?
The Italian.
Right. None of us could even remember her name. Excellent.
I'm not sure she was given one.
Yeah, her name was Sevilla.
That's fair.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
She was more of a witch, with the tarot. But the other woman, I just saw witch. Was that? Am I the only one?
No, the Italian's name was Sevilla. Sylvia. But the Italian works.
Well, I thought they kept referencing her as the Italian, and then there's.
They probably were.
I totally missed that. I don't know how I missed that, but I missed a lot of stuff apparently.
That's all right. It happens.
Well, that's part of what they're doing is they're saying the Pope has sent someone to investigate. Let's not forget, if we're going to talk about ones that we don't like besides the main villain, which is he had that whole.
Here's the thing: I didn't dislike him as a villain.
No, he's fine as a villain. He's just
he's a horrible person.
Well,
but I liked his character as a villain. He made a great villain.
Well, yeah, but what I'm referring to isn't that. Let's not forget the priest. That was the other one that I just remembered. Anyway.
Who did I not like? All right.
Yeah, the movie was filled with scumbags. It's okay, guys.
Yeah.
The army guy, he was just incredibly incompetent.
Well, he was also being hindered because everyone knew what he was doing, so they all sabotaged him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that aspect too. So
the two goons that the girl was in that fight scene in the very beginning with the stakes and the claws, the knife type claws, I thought that was interesting. I didn't really mind them. I just ignored them as characters. I love this movie, and for me to pick somebody out I don't really like, it's just like I kind of like them all for what they were.
Well, to be fair on that, I liked each of them. At least they had a competent villain, so you could understand how he was doing things. And there were multiple villains in there. Which was
right.
Everyone that was pretty much involved in the whole Brotherhood of the Wolf, who they're trying to cause an upset with the king.
Yeah.
And hey, they were all part of it. It wasn't just one small thing. And the sad thing is the captain that we all said was incompetent had the right people at the very beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Can we talk for a second about the freaking hand? Okay, what the hell?
The hand as in the person, or the hand as
the guy,
in his.
The villain, how he was missing his right arm, and then suddenly he takes this cadaverous arm and attaches it to his arm, and it works. What the hell was that?
I thought that came through from Africa with him with some type of black magic type stuff, just the same as like his sword and all that business.
Okay, because I was trying to figure, because he had somebody make him that rifle, which was cool, that he could use with his left arm and blah blah blah. I was thinking, okay, is this a mechanical thing? Is this the one and only magic item in the story? Or, I mean, other than the thing that I'll talk about in a minute, which also bugged the shit out of me. The magic voodoo Indian powder, they didn't need that. That was just, yeah.
See, the problem is that Shadow went in thinking this was going to be a serious movie, not realizing that it was a French martial arts film.
Well, no. I mean, I actually like somebody said earlier. I thought it was going to be a werewolf movie, and not that I like werewolf movies. To the contrary, but I thought that that's where we were going, and I'm like, okay, it's not okay. And slowly, I sort of caught on. It was just that the trying to shoehorn magic in where it didn't belong. I didn't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was a very subtle thing anyway. In there, it's the and that was, I think, so I didn't mind it myself. It was very minor when you.
Hey, there was no lasers coming out of anybody's damn fingers.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, it's actually pretty minor for that whole thing.
Well, my point is, there shouldn't have been any whatsoever. Because if you're going to have some, you got to, I think, to keep it fair, you got to kind of have it on both sides. And to think that the only magic on the good side was the wolves, tracking down the cardinal or the priest or whatever, that kind of just didn't go over. I mean, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I was like, okay, cool. The wolves, like I said, favorite characters. But yeah, I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more of, real holy,
The magic though was subtle. I don't even know if I would call it. I mean, the arm was definitely weird. The sword was definitely mechanically weird.
Yeah,
but the throwing the powder I don't consider magic. Alchemy, sure.
And to be fair, even with
here's the thing. It worked for just about everything. Okay, it theoretically worked for like two different kinds of thing, right? You know what I mean? It was just like the cure all. It just, and the timing of it was perfect. To resurrect his love interest, and I forget the other usage. Saving somebody else, and like he only had two apparently, on that bracelet, and they were perfectly timed. Talk about plot armor. I mean, wow.
She wasn't. I mean, according to Max the Magnificent, she wasn't dead. She was partly dead.
She was.
As opposed to the main character who was, given, freaking.
She was in a
powder
coma.
Yeah,
I mean that's the whole thing.
And,
in a coma.
Putting him, faking his death and bringing him back. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying this movie. Not saying this movie doesn't have its own very interesting hiccups.
No. I mean, it had a lot going for it. If you were to cut out a couple of scenes, especially like the early fight scenes, if you'd have cut those out, it would have made the other scenes later of combat more palatable, I think, because it was like he's perfect in every freaking way. I would rather have thought that it was, vengeance that was spurring him on, because of his buddy, getting killed, that helped inspire him and rage to do all the killing that he did, as opposed to he's good at freaking everything except, the moral quandary of actually, putting together the fake, beast, to show off to the people and perpetuate the big lie.
Oh boy, did that piss him off. Oh my God.
Like, are you a hero or not? You just say no and take your consequences.
Well, the problem is that you can't do that when you're involved with the king. See, we're all trying to say, well, we would do this. Yeah, but you're trying to think of it as, well, as an American, I have that option. Like, no, you can't say that.
No, I wasn't thinking about it like that at all. I was thinking about it as being, a good and honest human being that's not going to, perpetuate the lie, knowing full well this thing is just going to kill and everybody's going to ignore it. If you were to have said, no, not doing it, maybe even strangled that guy while he was in the tub. Go, he drowned in the bathtub. I don't know what happened. I'm going to keep hunting this thing.
Well, the problem is,
sorry guys. Oh, hey, we found it, and here it is. Now you can put that up on, stage and show everybody this is what it was. But that didn't happen.
You didn't exactly tell during that time period, even English, the Spanish, the French, anybody who still had a monarch at that juncture, Russia. You don't tell and he was a knight. As I was reading, he was a knight. So he was a knight of the king. You don't tell the king no. You just say yes, and you do what you're told.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like it. That's the whole thing. And to be fair, he did go back to make sure that
he went back because the girl begged him to come back. I mean, let's be honest. She wrote the letter. He was about to say, "Screw it, we're out of here. Let's blow this taco stand and go to Africa." Instead, he gets a letter from the girl saying, "Hey, come back," blah blah blah. He didn't even bother worrying about his luggage. He just grabbed the nearest horse and was out of there. So
I don't fault him for having to make the mock-up creature. He was doing what he was told. He was pissed off. I quit. I'm done. I mean, that is a fairly realistic, thing.
Sure, I suppose.
This is the thing that all too often why I get, I don't want to be too much into the, because we're trying to think of all this, and it's like, look, if you're going to play a game that has monarchs, and you have to make them meaningful, you have to
make up a new character. I got no problem with that.
Yeah,
I'd rather.
You can't make a new character midway through the film.
What? I know.
I mean, certain movies, I wish that they would.
I know, right?
Sorry, Luke, you quit. We're bringing in your second cousin on your mother's side. Whatever. Your cousin's roommate from college. I don't know. Whatever.
Rolling up the first level character, sir.
Where was I going? So we talked about who we liked. We talked about who we don't like, which is basically everybody that's not the Italian. Okay.
Well, to be fair on this, I like the movie more than Shadow did.
That's fine. I'm pretty sure.
I don't get mad about all this stuff. To me, Star Wars was a far worse film. I actually enjoyed this one. That was so. No.
Those are fighting words, I think, somewhere.
This movie had no daddy issues.
It had no mom.
I know.
It didn't have any mommy issues either.
No, it has history issues, so I don't know if that counts, but wow. I mean, seriously, wow.
I was reading on the side. I was reading, Raven, that this thing might have been a dog hybrid with a hyena.
Well, here's the thing that I've read about the real life aspect is they think it was a hyena. It's because it was.
Yeah, it's funny. When someone brought up hyena, that actually sparked my own memory of remembering reading about this very story somewhere way back a long time ago. I was going, oh,
yeah, because
right, because it might have even been like a History Channel thing where they were talking about different strange creatures where they didn't belong, not that they were supernatural or cryptids or anything, but just things that didn't belong, where they happened to, have been found. And I think they were talking about how it was stuffed and it disappeared. And darn well, if it was a real thing, it's in somebody's freaking underground dungeon. It's under some, estate somewhere. Still, like dust.
Even in modern history, I'm bringing this up. The cocaine bear, the actual bear that ate the cocaine, died, and the taxidermy got hold of it, stuffed it, then it disappeared for a while. It was in somebody's basement. Then he sold it to a pawn shop. Now it's got its own kind of, the actual stuffed bear has its own little weird history.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that they actually have some of this, but
it wouldn't be a cigar show without mention of the cocaine bear.
Oh, I can't wait for us to watch it. Oh yeah. I'm just trying to fit it in somehow.
You know what? If we're going to do that, well, part of me wants to go. If we're going to do some of this, we need to watch. Well, we'll figure out when some of the other stuff comes out.
All right. So, was there actually any scenes that you got? What scenes? A particular scene in the movie, except for the brothel scene, Shadow, did you actually enjoy?
You think I cut that out?
No, I'm not saying cutting it out. I'm saying what scene. Trust me, it's not getting cut out. Well, maybe if Jack was to watch it, maybe that whole about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that would definitely be my answer. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it should have been cut out.
100%. Filthy degenerate.
Yeah, I know. We're old. You can get over it. What scene did you like?
That's the real question.
The credits. I'll start with Shadow. I'll start with you. Was there actually any scenes in this movie that you're like, wow, that was really cool looking?
Yeah, believe it or not, the snow scenes, those blew me away. Where they actually had snow falling and that whole sequence, I was just like, wow, this is really good. I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe it was really snowing. Probably not. It's probably that fake stuff. But either way, I was thoroughly convinced. And, despite the fact that I hate snow, I was like, this is really, really well done.
All right. Mark?
Trying to think. Maybe the whole sequence and scene when they were setting up the traps for the beast and that, and then when they actually when they attempted to trap it, and when all that was going down, when I kind of figured out what kind of movie this really was going to be and kind of accepted it for that, I kind of enjoyed that.
All right, over now.
What scenes I liked? I be honest, is I really did enjoy the where they were fighting the beast. I thought that was really cool. I liked the fact that they were trying to, just the whole aspect of trying to get them out of there. I thought it was cool looking at that. I understand that, that because it was just different. It looked different. This was definitely not your normal, typical, what I want to say, film. This is one of the reasons I kind of like watching some of the, what are they called? The foreign films, is because they tend to be very different in their perspectives of how they do things. And that's part of the reason that I like that myself. I understand that, not everyone does, but those to me are what make you normally don't see stuff like that. But the snow scene was fine. I actually liked the final battle area that they had for the scene. That was kind of cool, where they had the actual Order of the Wolf meeting.
You mean when the rifleman came in? That was friggin' epic. I love that. It was like, oh, you want a knife fight? Guess what? Not happening.
Yeah. I mean, those were the things that I liked about the film here. They were definitely it was definitely different. There's, I hadn't seen anything like that. I know that I had watched more, kung fu stuff. That's why whenever was talking about the Matrix, like, oh man, this is so cool. I'm like, I've seen this before. It's a John Woo film. What's the big deal? But most American audiences hadn't seen it. But I've watched other foreign weird films like the what's the Luc Besson films. They're definitely very different from that aspect. So yeah, it's I'm not sure what else to say for that.
It's cool.
But yeah, the visuals. I think the visuals for this entire film are gorgeous, no matter where you look at it.
Absolutely.
It's now for we can complain about everything else, but no, like I said, I enjoyed the film when I watched it 20 years ago. I still enjoy it now. This is one of the better ones that we've seen that just isn't completely horrible acting.
That's fair. The acting in this was actually, comparatively better than some of the ones we've seen in the past, some of mine included.
So yeah, but that's the way that I felt about it.
What about you, Mark? Any scenes you did I
You already asked me.
I am sleep deprived from last night. I got people firing off fireworks at all time of the fucking day, and me and explosions don't do well. There's a scene in the movie. I think it's towards the very beginning. It might be mid-morning, where it's raining and you see that lone. There might have been two wolves now that I think about it, but the two wolf in the little cave that's sticking its head out.
Yeah,
the best character.
I could say that I like the fight scene in the very end of the movie, which I did. I could say that when Manny died, the way he died on his feet, fighting the way he was, I thought that was incredibly sad and really cool.
He didn't die
That's
on
one
his
of my favorite scenes.
He didn't die on his feet. That's all you saw. If you actually remember when they did the flashback.
Yeah, they tied his ass up and basically crucified him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They did. Yeah. My brain just blotted that out. I'm like, no, we don't want to think about that.
That was part of the reason that his friend went completely
ape.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Can't say I blame his friend then. I don't think I blame the guy, the main guy at all for anything he did. I think, whatever. The background was
women.
The background. Hey, I didn't.
Try to argue the point, man.
At least we can all say that she was a real woman.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna be banned off YouTube here soon.
Rumble, my friend. Rumble.
Well, you know what?
They will welcome you. Rumble will welcome you with open arms, and you could.
I was gonna say, the scenery for the scenes in it. I mean, the acting was good. It was not. Oh, I know which character I really did not like. That freaking poet that was trying to tell a poem about the wolf. The woo, the woo. If I was at that table, I'd have freaking thrown something at that putz.
I was thinking the same thing. You freaking have a croissant, you freaking.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this much: a lot of it came off better because I remember watching it in French, and then I watched it in English. It definitely comes off better it still studs like it's supposed to. The film is definitely better in French than it is in English.
I gotta ask how and why. Unless you actually speak French, which then that would make sense to me. I was glad I didn't have to deal with the subtitles and the dubbing. It's like, okay, it's dubbed, I get it, not a problem.
I don't like dubbing for most films just because you lose a lot of the
translations.
It's not the translations, the actual acting aspect, because most of the because most the ones doing the dubbing don't really get the same emotional aspect and things like that.
I really didn't. I didn't feel that was an issue here. I was actually, I as soon as I consigned myself to the fact that okay, the mouth movements and the words aren't syncing up, wasn't really paying attention to that after the first like 5 minutes or so. I'm like, okay, this works. So, let's see where it goes.
I mean, I could have. I say this playfully, and I really do enjoy the movie. But when it comes to foreign films, I could have picked Bruce Lee's Big Boss Man. But which I actually kind of like. Anyway, there was, to me, the acting was fine. The acting was really good, honestly. I think this movie,
the acting was a lot better in French. Let's be honest.
Yeah, the acting was. This movie made money. This movie made. With a $30 million budget, this movie made $70 million for what it was. For what it was, I mean, this could have very easily been a. I don't know if you guys have them out west, but a variation of a family video B-rated movie where it just pops up pops out of nowhere at a video rental place, and ooh, what's this? Okay. If you could cut a scene out of this movie, God, I can't wait for Shadow's answer. If you could cut a scene, not multiple scenes, let's clarify that really quick. What scenes would you cut out, Shadow?
Well, I don't know so much of a scene, but I would have kept the Native American guy in actual pants. Sorry, but what you're traveling with that outfit, is that some sort of kink thing? What the hell? Just you're in another land. Wear what everybody else is wearing. If you got to get down into that outfit to do your job, wow. Other than that, a scene that I would cut.
He didn't like his line cut.
I'm guessing it was for the ladies in the audience. Fine, whatever. A scene I would cut would probably be, the whole, rapey sister issue. Just that we didn't need that. They left very little to the imagination. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no question that that's what happened next. Sure, cool. You went to black, but could you have just, maybe
gone to black about a minute earlier?
He's a bad guy. Okay, he's a really, really bad guy. But now we know that he's the worst of the kinds of bad guys you could possibly think of. Yeah.
All right, gotcha. Mark.
Scenes. Some of the scenes when he's doing his taxidermy thing, and they're just setting up the next part of the movie, which I was kind of dragged in some of those parts for me. I don't think they really needed to have in there, but that'd probably be what I'd maybe try to edit or cut down a little bit.
Okay. Mark?
You mean me?
I mean, yeah, I'm now.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to think of how do I want to put this? Not that some of it, a lot of it visually is very nice about the whole thing. Some of the stuff that comes into the romance aspect, where they're sitting there just talking, and I kind of go, do I really need this? The other part is, I know they're all preparing for everything. I don't know if you really need it. When they were doing the crossbow and the pistol and the axe, I'm like, do I really need to see this?
You know what? For the gun nerds out there, that was one of the high points of the movie. The reason why, my friends and I, when we go shooting, it's always the day after Halloween, because we have Pumpkin Fest where we go to all the grocery stores and get the pumpkins that are. Yeah, sorry, Raven. I don't even know what to say to that. We always go to the grocery stores. We pick up as many pumpkins as we can. We cut the top out, pull off the lid, so to speak, fill them with water, and then turn the desert orange, at least for a little while. So that was very reminiscent of me and my buds when we do that sort of thing. And it's the closest you're going to get to the Batman or Arnold Schwarzenegger Commando scene of suiting up. That's.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would like to see the crossbow a little bit more.
There's a couple things you could, in my opinion, they could have cut out. But the moment that guy stands up and starts doing that poem about the damn wolves, that can go.
No, I fully agree with that. That really didn't add anything in there.
Then when he was trying to put the move on to the rich girl next door, and she had to be saved by she was at what, maybe 16, and the French guy was, in his 30s. I know this is a different world, different time, which that is, well, even in America up until now, recent history, that would be considered acceptable. Yeah, within recent American history, that still would have been considered acceptable. It just, like, I don't know. It just like, no, I can do without. Oh, they're meeting. He's old enough to be like her uncle and his dad's younger brother. This is kind of weird. Am I wrong? Did anybody else get that feel?
From where? Sorry.
When the French guy starts to put the move onto the girl on the main love interest.
You're talking about
the bathtub scene where the guy who got sent by the king was trying to basically have his way with the washerwoman.
That's France for you. Well, that's not just France. That was just that time.
I mean, hey,
well, no.
If your job requires that you're going to be pouring hot water into a dude's bathtub, it's probably not the first time.
Well. Here's the other thing, though. Is I also want to mention this much. It was also show the degeneracy of the nobility. I mean, that's right. Part of that's
so
what's
they
part
just
of
grab the girl. It's like, hey, right.
I mean, and what was the which people forget about the first night rules that they had in England and stuff like that. People, that was part of the aspect is here we are showing, a taxidermist who's a pretty decent guy overall, and then we have the Marquis, or at least the son. He's a pretty decent guy for the whole thing. And then whether we like it or not, the captain's actually somewhat okay too. That's about it. Everyone else is.
Manny, the Native American guy was decent. I mean,
no. Yeah, but I'm saying, but we're talking about for French.
Yeah,
French. That's kind of about it.
In the entire country, for the span of what, the 50, 60 years.
Well,
no longer.
We're talking about all the nobility of all of the ones that were in power. Those were the only ones that were really. I know, but the blonde girl trying to rescue the lamb. I think.
The other part I didn't like. The very beginning, you see that woman running, screaming, bouncing off the cliff. Then you're expecting to see her get gored by something. I mean, this is the first not 5 minutes of the movie. It felt like it might be a little bit after that. Anyways,
yeah, a glimpse of the monster.
You get a little bit glimpse. It feels like you're at the theater and you're watching Jaws, but for the first time.
That's one thing I don't like is where they flip them back and forth. And rocks up. I'd just much rather have it where, all of a sudden she just gets dragged down and then you see the end. And,
instead of throwing around like a rag doll.
Yeah.
That's the way a lot of critters really act.
Well, yeah, no critter does that. They just pounce and then either, they do it. And if they remember the original story for this was a lot of times they found, missing bones. because hyenas are one of the few animals that can actually crack bones and eat them for the
I
most
haven't
part.
really looked at a hyena up close, but they're big creature. I mean, they're not like lion big, but they're nothing to fuck around with though. They're more dangerous than lions.
Well, they're
in numbers and if you're alone. But if you got 3 guys with rifles,
Yeah, but
nothing
most
to
of
worry
these people, most of the villagers that this thing attacked were alone.
Yeah.
and notice it mostly went for women and children, which is what really.
Right, and not only that, hyenas are more of a
Pack.
scavengers.
Yeah.
Well, everyone says that, but so are lions.
This one was also trained to be kind of an asshole.
Yeah,
But for being a hyena, that's not much of a trick.
Yeah. Well, you know, it
was intentionally abused.
Yeah.
Go for it, now.
No. Well, this one was a lion, of course.
Right.
And actually, to be honest, where they
but was it? I remember them saying that it was a strange creature. They didn't actually have a name for it because I was thinking it was actually the friggin' lion that bit that guy's arm off, but it wasn't. They would have just said lion. Remember?
It was a lioness. It was a female lioness.
It was the only one of they said it. They explained at the end. It was the only one of a group of cubs because he brought back a lioness, and this was the only one of the litter that survived. And they trained it.
It was actually a lion, though. I must have missed that one word, but because I do remember when they say they brought a strange or unusual creature, like they didn't actually know what the frick it was. I'm like, huh? Oh, you don't even know what it is? I mean, just grab a book. Come on, guys.
Well, they said specifically. Well, if I remember, it was the trainer when they got all the information on the trainer, and he explained what the history of what happened with it. I thought they said lion.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure they say lioness. And at that time period, not a lot of people knew what lion was or even freaking looked at. It wasn't. This is 17th century time period. Only maybe a quarter of your population is actually educated. And now that quarter take out another small.
Yeah, but I mean, lions were on the coat of arms of like every other freaking flag.
Well,
on the planet.
Hold it. What we're forgetting about is the thing was covered in armor, so they wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that was the other part of when they said they shot it, and it just ran off with the ball. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Raven has a point here.
Yeah.
Most people at that time didn't even know what a hyena was.
Right.
Well, and what we're talking about here is in this thing, lion, but I'm saying in the real world, they believe it was a hyena that had been imported in, and what it was doing is going around attacking mostly women and children because they find like the head was missing or the arm was missing, like it had eaten the arm because they're known for cracking bones, unlike lions. So that was the real point of that. We're not trying. We're just saying that there's a historical basis, and then of course they take it into the kind of quasi.
Yeah. I've been trying to work in my head how to freaking say it. It's the base. If you get on your Google, and it's the beast of. Oh, what's that word? It's.
Come on, butcher it. Let's hear it.
Beauclair or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. It's G-E with an accent. V-A-U-D-A-N. Giovanni? Yeah,
okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah. With the accent, that makes it. I don't speak French.
Yes.
There's no we in this statement for me. No, I do not speak
Where's
French.
either of the Maxes when you need them, right?
Yes, Raven. But no, I love the fact of certain movies like this that they do try, even though it's not historically accurate, they do try. Because with American history, Western, did any of you guys read anything about this legend as a kid? Was this anywhere near any of the readings? I mean, this is like comic book fuel. Somebody could have made a comic book out of this story.
Well,
believe it or not, some of the best comic books in the planet are actually coming out of France right now.
I mean, I read this. I started reading the background for this after I saw the movie because I was going through and they were talking about, oh yeah, Brotherhood of the Wolf. It's kind of a martial arts French film, and I said, oh okay, set in the 1800s. I was like, all right. And so I didn't know what to expect when I went in, and when they said in the Beast, I'm like, okay, what's exactly going on? And then I started looking at the background and stuff for the history after that aspect. So,
right.
I really did enjoy the whole. I did enjoy where they were actually fighting the Beast. Where it takes the Marquis's arm, it starts dragging him, and they start fighting that out. I thought that was pretty. They wound it, and then it runs away. So yeah, that was one of the things I did enjoy.
Yeah, when this movie came out, because what was the other movie that had to deal with lions? Heart of Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas.
That was more realistic.
Right. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying it was or wasn't.
I can't picture that movie for the life of me.
Oh, the two lions. Oh, my God. The lions that were actually hunting those people, they are stuffed, and they are up in the Chicago Museum.
Oh, really? Are those the ones that they're there?
Yeah.
So I know that one. But speaking, of course, we're talking. Was it Heart of Darkness? Or was it called something else?
It was the Ghost in the Darkness. Ghost in the Darkness.
Yeah, the Ghost in the Darkness. And what I thought was interesting is when they were finding that out, is about the pack of wolves. Pack of lions.
Yeah.
And apparently, it was during a drought, and so they weren't eating the bodies so much as they were draining of blood. They would get into it, and then they would lick the blood out of the people.
Yeah.
They were trying to survive that way.
Yeah, no. So when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought werewolf. Then when I started watching this movie, I'm like, oh, this is like Ghost in the Darkness. I love that movie. But there was no kung fu in it. So
yes. Well, that's one thing. So we're going to talk about games, and we talk about lions and stuff. And actually, tigers, I think, are even a better one.
Or my.
Well, I think lions are great if you want to do a pack, but tigers, boy, have you heard about some of the stuff what tigers do? And God forbid, which have existed in history at certain times, just because, they did have an overlapping range. There were a few instances of actual ligers, which are like twice as big as a lion. You're like, holy crap. Yeah, it's one of those that definitely, but those are sometimes the things that I find interesting for that aspect is if you want to use a game and you don't want to use necessarily anything supernatural, you can really make a tiger go out there and just cause havoc with a low-level party.
All right. Well, we're about an hour and 23 minutes into this film. I think we've talked about most of what we liked and what Shadow disliked, which was the majority of it. Any last thoughts? I'll start with you, Mark.
No, it's been a movie that's been on my radar, and one of those I just never watched, but I've always heard about. So glad I watched it, learned a little bit about it being related, part of a actual story that was interesting. And then, it was enjoyable. It's like, when we got to the over the top fighting stuff, I said, oh, I know what type of movie this is now. And I just kind of turned part of my brain off and just accepted it for what it was.
Would you watch this movie again down the road?
Yeah, probably, a couple years from now, or if it's, if I'm just clicking channel or something that happens to be on, I might sit and pick up and watch part of it or something like that. Yeah.
If it's on TV, you don't have to worry about the brothel scene.
Are you sure about that?
if it's on normal TV, you shouldn't have to worry about the brothel scene.
Does normal TV even exist, and do they actually show movies, or is it nothing but news and daytime BS?
I don't know. I don't watch television. I've only watched streaming services at this point in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I laugh at my father. He's like, "Oh, I have to get this." Why, Dad? Well, I've got to watch sports. Why? It's not any fun to watch anymore. Once you started making sports political, which the whole point of sports was to get away from the real world, then I said, well, to be fair, they just fired 20 more people from ESPN. Congratulations, Disney. You destroyed everything you've touched. You have the magic touch of death and rot.
Is it like the touch?
The exact opposite of gold, the Midas touch. What is it? The crap touch?
It's the necrotic touch. It's necrotic touch. It's whatever you touch, it starts, rotting away. And that makes me want to play Exalted.
Anyway, all right. Over now, I know you like this movie, and you most likely be willing to watch it again down the road. But you got any last thoughts?
Go in, just enjoy it as a popcorn movie. Don't try overthinking it. You'll probably enjoy it from that aspect. If you want historical accuracy and everything else, you're going to be disappointed. If you want lavish,
go read a book.
If you want lavish scenes, well, go watch Todd's Workshop if you want reality. And I highly recommend watching that channel regardless. That's a great channel with their longbow stuff and everything else. And they're, just for shadow for crossbows, go watch Todd's Workshop. Anyway, but in his lockdown longbow that he created with the crossbow, or what was the I can't remember the other guy's name. But you'll probably enjoy it. Unfortunately, like everything else, it's just like when I watched RoboCop. You can start picking out the CGI and everything else. It's a product of its time. But I definitely did enjoy. I enjoyed the film. I was kind of disappointed that they used a lion instead of having like this mutated animal at the end. But I'm okay with that. But yeah, I thought it was cool. It's interesting to look at. Visually, you'll enjoy it. You want characters you don't like or villains. It's great for that with the from that aspect. You can use characters from this. You can have the weird gypsy girl going in. You can have your Italian. That they're all great characters that you can throw into your game, I think. And if you can mine it for that, then I think you'll enjoy a lot of it.
Good point, Omen.
Shadow.
Will I watch it again? Probably not, unless someone tries to convince me to watch it. Not because of the movie itself, just because of my regular movie watching habits. There are very few things I watch more than once. I'm a one and done guy. I'll watch a movie and I'm like, okay, cool. If I don't want to go out and buy it immediately, then there's probably no chance I'll ever want to watch it again. There's so many things out there that I'm, far behind. I never even heard of this movie. I watched it. It had some, I don't want my money back because it was free. But there's a lot more stuff out there. I'd rather watch another new movie than to watch just a, middle of the road movie, because it definitely doesn't compare, or I wouldn't put it in my top 10. And top 10s are the things I will watch over and over again, till the day I die. But this isn't one of them. But if I knew someone who I thought this movie that they would enjoy it more than I did, then I might recommend it and say, yeah, I'd give it a shot. But I can come up with at least 10 movies I recommend over it.
Well, and I don't disagree with that one. Just because I enjoy something doesn't mean I want to watch it all over. I will say this much: the next movie we're going to be watching is Ran.
R-A-N?
Yes, off of King Lear in 1985, Samurai. If you want a more realistic version of that one is, despite what we see a lot of times, Akira Kurosawa probably is better historically for things. You will see lots of muskets, despite it being in the samurai. You will see a lot of it. It does get kind of slow in some parts of the middle, but just understand that it's one of those that you'll get to see the king as he goes through and he gets. But yeah, anyone that's watched King Lear, that's what he did. Another visually fantastic masterpiece, and if you're playing Oriental Adventures, it won't fit. But if you're playing a more historic samurai game, oh yeah. The battle scenes alone are I think pretty epic.
Okay.
And just for Shadow is, the villain in the movie dies in a gusher of blood. So
you can argue with a gusher.
A gusher of blood, basically.
Yeah, I'm so not touching that one. We're still doing phrasing, right?
Yeah, sure, phrasing. My final thoughts on this movie. I agree with Omina. There are several things about this movie, if you're running a campaign, that you can mine from. How to use a human and animal combo and what that could look like. There are in fantasy the chain sword. I have seen variations of them in RPG games. They do exist. A medieval RPG game would kind of look like this, especially for low magic to no magic.
Who is it? I think is going to be running Pax Leporum from Total Party Skills, right, Omen?
I don't know.
I could have sworn he said he was going to run that game for us in the near future. Not the near future, but in the future he's hoping to. I would definitely recommend watching this one if he's going to do that, because while there are no werewolves in it, there's a lot of other aspects, how he likes to really, ham it up with the NPCs. This would definitely be something that he could sink his teeth into.
So, next week, as Omanal said, we will be watching or reviewing Rand. I think it's on HBO Max.
I'm not sure. Just the one thing just be aware of with Rand is it's a long movie. So,
all right. Well, I'll make sure I
will be on vacation, and I think I could maybe squeeze 3 hours to watch a movie in, maybe. But
how much time do you have off?
me, like 2 weeks.
Says the man who's retired.
He's semi-retired.
Semi-retired, yeah.
Because he still has to make money on the side. So
that is true. That is true. We will be watching that movie. I will be browbeating a few people behind the scenes about doing the next Dresden book somewhere down the line. Summer's wrapping up. It feels like summer's wrapping up.
You might have to recruit Jordan from Gamers Den instead of me for that. Even though I kind of want to read the next one, because it's about Michael, I believe, who is the only character I actually liked in the series. But Jackie's probably not going to be there. I'll try, but maybe we can bring Jordan in instead of Jackie, because Jackie's incredibly not likely to actually read a book. Although he's actually reading a book right now, the one we sent to Omen for obvious reasons, and that blew me away.
The Arduin?
And the fact that he said a while ago he wants the Dungeon Master, which is dream come true for this guy.
Well, I might have to find another week of the night where I can see if Mark wants to put up with me twice in a week, maybe, and the guy from the Gamers Den. We'll talk about the Dresden Files. I know there's a few cats on Table Breakers that are huge Dresden fans as well. But that has to be a thing. And anything else I wanted to say, take away from this movie? Don't go in thinking this is a serious movie. It's not comedy by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I don't think I laughed even once.
No, but it's not it takes liberties. Let's just put it that way. It takes it takes a few liberties. So, Mark, what movie have you picked for us?
I'm gonna do Train to Busan. I think I sent a link out.
Yeah, I saw the Zombie on the Train movie.
Yeah, that one's Omen found it. It's streaming free on YouTube.
Zombies on a Train.
Well,
streaming free at a couple different places, I think.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think it's free on YouTube. I think I can't. Yeah, I think I watched it for the YouTube, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I've already watched it last week. I will say this much, just so everyone knows, the girl can cry. She deserves an award winning because most child actors can't cry like this girl on Companion. I mean, it's like real crying from. I don't know if they slapped her or spanked her or whatever they did. Those tears are coming down her cheeks.
Good.
It's a really fast squirt gun. They just shoot her in the eyes.
No. I mean, she has the screaming down and everything else. It's the holy crap. It's like how a real kid cries. I don't know if what they did is they had to grow a puppy and then they slaughtered the puppy in front of her and made her eat it. You know, this being Korea. But, I mean,
they threatened to send her to North Korea.
I mean, hey, I have friends that are Korean. They've eaten dog.
I've eaten dog, and I don't really want to talk about it.
You know, there's some bad dogs out there.
I had a roommate in college who was Korean. He's like, my mom sent me jerky. I'm like, okay. He's like, you want to try some? I'm like, sure. And I taste it. I'm like, wow, this tastes really good. What is it? Oh. Okay.
The other thing is,
to be honest, with as good as they are in real life, they got to be pretty tasty.
I kept threatening my dog whenever she misbehaved.
But from a cooking point of view, you normally don't try to eat animals that eat meat. They're too stringy.
Well, the other problem is that a lot of times they're full of other diseases and stuff. But
yeah, that's true.
Trichinosis and things like that, which is why bears and pigs are kind of frowned upon. But no, it's But anyway, I'm just saying that because that little girl, when she's crying for whatever, it sounds just like tears are coming down her eyes. And I'm not spoiling anything, but tears are coming down her eyes, and she's screaming and crying just like a real little girl would, not this Hollywood. We want to kind of make it like it was that way. Yeah, it's so.
All right. Well,
and just so you know, there are survivors at the end of the film, so
Then it can't be a zombie movie. There's always no. I don't believe that. So, Shadow, what are you doing this week other than telling your kid to get the hell out as he's going down to Mexico?
Probably catching up on a lot of sleep, or at least just staying in bed for an entire week. That's the plan.
No,
maybe crawling out to do a couple of videos.
All right. So you don't have anything major on the docket.
a couple of short videos here and there, but yeah, nothing.
All right.
Yeah, you're enjoying the hell out of the 4th of July, even though it's just going to be me. We have a lot of firework displays and amateur firework displays that go on around here. We had a really incredible one last night. Pat Benatar played like 2 blocks away from my house, and then there was a nice firework display, and then there was apparently a party literally on the main street, lined both directions with vehicles and people just partying, not literally in the streets, but right off the side on the sidewalk until I want to say 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I could hear mariachi music all freaking night long. People just having a good old time. So hopefully they'll do more of that on the actual 4th.
I don't hear that much mariachi.
What?
I was about to say I don't hear much mariachi music in my life, unless I get to certain restaurants. It's not played around here.
I growing up in California, I grew up every Saturday morning. That's what I woke up to for decades. The first thing, within the shot, that's what I heard. That's what I smelled cooking. Not mariachi music, but Mexican food. So it's just part and parcel of living here in the once great state of California.
California's got some interesting history. Holy crap, it's got some interesting history. I'm watching a show on HBO Max called Warrior, and it's basically a show that's based around, I don't know, maybe like 5-10 years after the Civil War in San Francisco, where the Exclusion Act is about ready to get popped, where they're going to try to send a bunch of Chinese back to, China.
You know what is and I think that's where we get the term vigilante. Look at the Citizens of Vigilance in San Francisco.
Mm.
That was that's where the that's where the citizens came out and broke a guy out of jail. I think to hang him. It was kind of interesting. Up to the point that Sherman was angry because they wouldn't send the army in, and in fact, I think he would have been outgunned. From the Civil War, he was not happy about what was going on out there. But yeah, it was like 9,000 people got involved in that one. You have to be pretty bad to get that many people out.
Like season 2, and I'm trying not to give anything away with the show because it's a really cool show, and I think it's worth watching. The main actor in the show, does Bruce Lee's very martial arts of Jeet Kune Do.
Uh-huh.
But it's based back in, like I said, right, maybe 10 years after the Civil War. So it's an interesting show. It's very interesting. Jack would not like it for reasons.
It's HBO. That's all you have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, but no, it's a good show. I think if you got HBO and you're don't mind a little adult behavior, it's a really good show, and I think it's cool. Sometime this coming month, I got asked to review a monster of a cigar. I mean, this thing is a monster of cigar. I showed Omanal and Shadow the beginning of the show. So there's a cigar brand called Asylum, and it's Asylum cigars. They normally have a skull as their marker. Anyways, you see how big this box is? It is 90 times X9 ring size. It's huge. Anyways, this is... I'm not going to say how much it is because you can go find out for yourself. It depends on what?
Don't just show off the box. Show off the whole cigar.
This is the cigar.
You know what that looks like? That looks like those little finger traps you get from the Chinese.
Yeah, I know. This thing is huge.
It looks like one of the fireworks I bought this year, to be honest.
It started off as a joke. And I said this earlier. It started off like a joke, like back in the 95 with Pepsi and, send in 70,000 or whatever points in a Pepsi points and send you a fire jet. It started off as a joke. But like Pepsi, Pepsi, only one person took them serious. Well, that's not true. A few people took that commercial serious. But no, there's a few people in the cigar community that took this serious. Like, when is this cigar going to come out? And I get to an April Fool's thing. It's not going to come out. It's not a real thing. Well, by popular demand, it's a thing. Oh boy, is it a thing. So I will be reviewing it. I will most likely be smoking it during Bruce's game because it's, like I said, it's a monster of a cigar. That's going to take me a while. And
how many games?
Yeah, it'll probably be that. Well, his games run up for 8 hours sometimes. And believe it or not, that cigar should take me about maybe 4 to 5 hours to smoke.
I meant, do you want to smoke all that? You can save it up for a little bit, and then.
Once you get into it, the problem with cigars is there are some cigars that you can clip and save and smoke it the next day, and they don't go completely stale. I have this odd feeling once I get into this big boy, it's got to be a one show type smoke, or it's going to go stale on me.
All right. This is what you got to do when you do table breakers or whatever. Set up a whole 4-hour thing, and you got to set it up. You got to play the A team. You gotta be, that's what it has to come down to.
I get to be Hannibal. I love it when a plan comes together.
That's right. You gotta do that whole thing while you're smoking, and that you guys got to play that up to the hilt, and really the cigar, the adventure can only last as long as the cigar does. So you can try to get as far as you can before the big bad happens when the cigar runs out.
Oh man, bad enough. We're going to be dealing with fire giants. In every campaign I'm in as of right now, I shit you not, every campaign I'm in as of right now, I am dealing with fire giants. I don't know how it happened that way. I just am. So, all right, we got about 14 minutes left on the show. I think everything needs to be said has been said. Mark, you got anything? Did I ask you, do you have anything going on?
No, just doing junk around here and hopefully keep all my fingers intact after 4th of July and all that good stuff. But no, nothing really going on.
Don't do what I used to do, where I used to hold the bottle rockets and shoot them off. Or you hold the end of them.
Yeah, I did all that. Tie them together. Yeah, I did all that stuff when I was a kid. Play with gasoline.
I used to
all that stuff.
I used to shoot them into the water because they would still explode into water and create this really cool, red effect underwater with explosions.
Ground blue flowers, man. Awesome in water.
I was a teenager when I was.
Jesus?
What?
He goes by Jesus.
What school play was this?
He goes by Jesus.
Okay.
I was a teenager when I was still a teenager when the Harry Potter books were popular, and Roman candles are fun to play with.
Oh, dude, I would give so much solid good money for a nice bundle of Roman candles right now. Seriously, but.
So me and my cousin, because we're both we're being young. I'm not going to say that we're idiots. We were just young. Decided that we were going to have a wizard duel because Harry Potter was, popular at that juncture. And we looked at it. It's like, well, we're sitting about 30 feet apart from each other. Aim and shoot. Well, I'm still standing here with all my fingers and toes and only minor scars over the years that I've well earned. My cousin is still amongst the land of the living. I don't really care where he's at for reasons that we're not getting into. And I think it wasn't with me, but he decided to play the same game with one of his other friends. And he got dinked right in the head by one of the Roman candles. So my mom
Free
and
haircut?
his what? Free haircut.
Free haircut?
Yeah, my mom and his mom, my aunt, put a quick end to us playing Harry Potter that summer.
Imagine why. Killjoy.
Right? No one got killed. What's a little bit burning amongst family?
I guess it depends on the family.
Right. So I'm going to end the show here. Thank everyone who showed up today in chat. Craft for Gamer, Raven, Raven McMeany. Has there been anyone else who showed up? But either way, if you end up watching the show later on, Hungar, of course, watch whenever Hungar's on, watch the man. He is a great person. I can't say enough about him. What I can't say, his brother can tell you. Which was DM James, another great person to watch. And do you know if anybody's doing anything special, like YouTube wise, on 4th of July?
Tuesday. I'm in a game, but I think, isn't it the Basic Expert? Or is it Biggest Geekus?
Biggest Geekus normally has a show on Tuesday. I just was wondering if like Max is from Legion of Myth is doing one of his another 24-hour streams because it's a holiday.
No, I'm going to say this much. Unless he took a day off,
Yeah.
workers have to work tomorrow, and then they have to work Wednesday. They just don't. They get Tuesday off.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I might do something because I don't not big on fireworks. I might do a show on Tuesday, see who I can rope up. Other than that, everybody out there, you have a good and safe 4th of July. Be good to your family. Make sure they're good to you. Don't put any firecrackers where they don't belong. Bullfrogs' asses, and etc. I don't know.
Keep the killing to purely in the fantasy realm.
Brain cell.
Yeah,
Brain cell.
Yeah, the things that we used to do when we were kids.
And video games, Ooh, you know what? That sounds like if anyone knows, is just a little side note. Free League's still having their sale on a couple of their games, and the other one that's pretty good is I know Steam's having their sales right now for anyone that get into like Elden Ring and things.
I hope everybody enjoys this week, like I said, and we're out. I'm going home. Screw y'all.
Happy trails, everybody.
Bye-bye. Later.
See you later. I don't know why my camera